間到，亦都齊人，宣佈開會。
Afternoon, members. Now it's time to start the meeting. We've also formed a quorum. Item 1 on the agenda. Information papers issued since the last meeting. There are 4 of them. Details are set out in the agenda. Second item, date of next meeting and items for discussion. We are going to hold the next regular meeting on the 13th of January at 2:30 p.m. at Conference Room 3. We have got a number of proposed items. First of all, arrangements for the frequency spectrum in the 1.9 to 2.2 GHz band upon expiry of the existing frequency assignments for 3G mobile services, as well as issues relating to the unequal sharing of the multiple frequency network. Ms. Mo would like to talk about the frequency spectrum. She referred to this on the 11th of November 2013. And then on the list of outstanding items, item number 2, we have issues relating to the unequal sharing of multiple frequency network for DTT services by ATV and TVB. And Mr. Mok on the 13th of November wrote to me asking for relevant information that will be taken up at the next regular meeting as well. And then in January, we are going to get a briefing on the policy address. And then on the in the second half of January, we are going to hold our policy address briefing, so that the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development will brief us on the relevant issues. We are going to issue a notice of meeting to you in due course. Mr. Mo has referred to a number of items, and I have to deal with them. First of all, on 18th of November, she wrote to me in relation to a request to talk about issues relating to the hosting arrangement of phone-in programs of commercial radio. According to the administration, the hosting arrangement is an internal matter for commercial broadcasters. The administration is not going to follow this up so as to prevent intervention with the internal operation of commercial radio. For the renewal of the license for CR, the administration has said that it hasn't started any relevant work, and it is of the opinion that it's got nothing to do with the renewal of the license. I would like to share with you my observation. Members may also comment on this, as well as the correspondence from Claudia Mo. First of all, the administration is saying that it's got nothing to do with the renewal of the license, which will be taking place in 2016. And then it's something in relation to the internal operation of the commercial operator. So the administration would not get anybody to sit in here. Then who are we going to get in relation to this item if we are to start a meeting? Would it be Chen Jiwan or Li Weiling? I think we may consider referring the matter to the administration and ask for a written reply. Now, if you would like to have it put on the agenda, but then technically there would be a difficulty. We have got a long list of outstanding items. I don't know what time next year would you get to your turn. Maybe by then the host, Ms. Lee, would have already been pushed back to another time slot. Now, for the next regular meeting, it will be held in January 2014. I don't think we can accommodate your item, Claudia, as we have got a long list of outstanding items. I give the floor to you first, Claudia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the case of Li Weiling of CR, it isn't something plucked from the thin air. In fact, there have been telltale signs. CR is going to get its license to be considered for renewal. When Henry Tang ran for the post of CE, he referred to this matter. And in the past, BBC would like to recruit Li Weiling, but then it was said that she's a controversial figure and has got strong objections from the liaison office. And the CR has been suspected of having a proven record of having dismissing controversial figures like user and other hosts. And then for the arrangements we've seen, I think it's more or less the right time to make the so-called arrangements, because we're going to get the Occupy Central campaign next year. So please have a special meeting so that we can invite Mr. Chen Ji-wan and Ms. Li Wei-ling to come here, as we all know that the freedom of press is most vulnerable here. Charles Morgan, Wang Ting-kwang. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find it odd. It's always been said that we want to have editorial independence for the broadcasters, for the media. Are we the media? We are the legislature. We've been promoting autonomy, independence. So for somebody who advocates independence and autonomy, she or he is also intervening. Well, for CR to make arrangements about hosting, whether it will continue to be popular, I think it's a commercial decision. As the legislators, should we be interfering with such matters? The deployment of Ms. Lee has been regarded as an incident, as an event. And then there were also changes concerning a particular TVB program, and then we have got a letter from Claudia Mo on the 22nd of November 2013. Claudia Mo wrote to us. What is it? You don't know what you have written? I would like to take the two together. Can I? Because it is a letter that you wrote. It's on the agenda. Can I be permitted to speak on it? It's up to me, said the chair. Well, for Ms. Li Wei-ling's incident, what sort of an incident is it? Is it something very important? Mr. Chairman, you need to rule on it. I think you have been very understanding. I support you as far as the operation of the meeting and how it is to be conducted is concerned. I just telling you what the admin's position is like. I haven't come to ruling. Claudia Mo is very anxious about this matter. Now, I have to tell you that technically there is a problem. In the near future, I don't think we have time for a special meeting. As you all know that we have had many special meetings. If you have time, you may want to call a special meeting. It doesn't matter to me. This is the legislature. It is a place where matters are discussed. Many a time we don't achieve anything. All members are entitled to the right to write to the panel. You can write 1, you can write 5 or 10, it doesn't matter. It's all right, and we have to handle them, we have to deal with them. I just want to tell you what is not in line with the functions of the panel. For such things, I will certainly rule them out, because we've got so many. There's already such a long list of outstanding issues, not to mention the breaking news. And other members, what do you think? And then I think we need to have a decision about it. And Jen, Mr. Chairman, I don't know whether the relevant persons approach Ms. Mo, aired her grievance, told her about it, and asked Claudia Mo to bring the matter to the panel. Was it the case? So please ask Ms. Mo whether that was the case. Now for the ITBP, well, for the LegCo, when we see any injustice, unfairness, to a certain extent, it is true that the LegCo should look into the matter. I think it's a matter of whether the party involved felt that it was necessary to views that it is necessary to do so. So I just want to know whether the relevant party has turned to Ms. Mo for assistance. I think in a moment, Ms. Mo can tell us whether Ms. Li Wei-ling asked for your assistance or whether you are doing it out of your own initiative to do justice for her. Mr. Chung Shu-gan, I don't think we should summons anybody from the radio station. No, Ms. Mo is asking for a special meeting. Yes, a special meeting so to summons someone to appear before us. I think this is based on editorial independence, creative autonomy, and editorial independence. Such core issues and core values mean that we shouldn't interfere with the operation of an independent broadcaster. It would be most unwise. Now, if a relevant person turns to a legislator to ask for the matter to be discussed, then we are making use of this public asset for a personal goal. I don't think all the more is wrong. Emily Lau, no, I don't think this is the case. Ms. Lee didn't ask for us to intervene as legislators, but then when something unusual happens in the media, then we need to look into the matter. I think not too long ago, Mr. Alan Lee was invited to come to speak to us, and there was a more serious problem. That's about hosts being denied the right to speak. And then now the students are waving their hands at us, and they are sort of witnessing our procedures. I think this is a democratic procedure. Let's hope. Let's see what the voting result is like. It is a matter of public concern. We can look at it. I don't think we are sort of talking about summoning witnesses in accordance with the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance. If sufficient members would like to talk about it, let's do it. If the objectors are strong enough in terms of the numbers, they can vote against it. We have got 3 items on the agenda. They are all very important items, and we have spent over 10 minutes on this issue. For those who raised their hands, I think I need to give the floor to you, as I have given the floor to other members. And you shouldn't speak again, as you have already spoken. Charles Mock. Mr. Chairman, after all, this is a matter of public interest. I don't know whether Chen Ji-wan or Lei Wai-ling has asked Claudia Mo to speak on their behalf. Even if it had taken place, I think Claudia should have referred the case to the complaints division. Now the students have already left. They're no longer here, but I don't think we should get too emotional. I agree that it should be discussed at a panel meeting. We have members for and against the proposal. It's not right for me to state my position because Ms. Lee criticizes me every day and she doesn't give me the chance to respond. Many of my supporters have complained to the Communications Authority. So it's not right for me to comment on it, and I know about a lot of insider information. So maybe we'll put the matter to the vote. Those who are in favor, please show your hands. 4 of you. Those who are against, I think the majority of members who are present are against it, so we are not having a special meeting. Just now I've said that we need to get a written reply. Let's vote again. Those who are in favor, Charles Mock, Sid Ho, Emily Lau, Claudia Mo. Those against, 鍾樹根、盧偉國、張華峰、何俊賢、Elizabeth Quat. Why don't we ring the division bell? It is not on the agenda. This is to facilitate my ruling. I don't want to be the one making the decision. I just want to dispose of it quickly. All right. What we are going to do is that Ms. Claudia Mo's proposal will be forwarded to the administration, asking for a written reply, whether it is related to license renewal, and then members have become very concerned. So let's press for a written reply. All right.
All right. Ms. Claudia Mo and Ms. Emily Lau on the 22nd of November 2013, wrote to us on TVB making use of public tool to silence the media and asked us to call the meeting. Now, this prohibition of reporting is not anti-competition behavior, and therefore it is not under the ambit of the Communications Authority. The authority did receive some complaints, and the broadcasting complaints subcommittee is now handling that, including a program of the complaint against the program TVB, and also about this barring anybody from reporting, barring some media from reporting certain news. Chairman, I know that next meeting will be rather tight, but I think we still need about half or a quarter of an hour to discuss it. The TVB shouldn't ban another medium from reporting. That is against professionalism or professional code. The TVB is using public airwaves. That is public behavior, and that involves public interest. Shouldn't this council discuss this and also even condemn that? Well, if we can mark out just 15 minutes to discuss the matter, I don't mind that. But if we can't, then there will be no chance to discuss that. We still need the item. We still need the agenda item. Assembly Lau. Now the Communications Authority is now handling the complaints. Our approach is that after they've handled the complaint, then they will draw up a report, and then they will send a report to us, and we can discuss the report. I think Ms. Emily Lau's proposal is rather constructive. When there is a complaint, there must be a report. And after the complaint report is available, we can discuss that as well. Okay, let's be efficient. Let's move on. Item 3. Propose extension of a supernumerary post of AO staff grade B in radio RTHK. In fact, we have 2 more items which are related to the RTHK, which is establishing fill-in stations for digital terrestrial television service, and also public consultation on Digital 21 strategy. We have to share the time equally among the 3 items. Yes, thank you, Chairman. The FC, in fact, approved a AO staff grade B for 3 years in 2009. That is to coordinate the various large-scale program and also the mission of public service broadcaster. And these measures, these important projects include the DAB, the digital audio broadcasting, digital terrestrial television, and digital media asset management. The post will expire on 26 May 2014. We said that we would review whether we should extend the post. After review, we think there's a need to extend this for another 5 years. In the coming 5 years, RTHK is at a critical moment of development. There will be new services beginning or completed. There are technical staff participating and professional people participating in that, and the engineering departments are also providing help. But in developing various projects, there's a need to have directorate leadership at the directorate level to deal with various matters, and also coordinate the work within the RTHK and with other government departments. As for public, or rather with regard to broadcasting, that includes new BH and also new services, and the work is very heavy. In the financial year 2013-14, RTHK has increased 105 non-directorate grade posts. We hope members will support our proposal and agree to extend this supernumerary post. And we plan to go before the ESC in the first quarter of 2014 if we get your blessing. Thank you.
我哋舉定手嘛，我哋寫低。
A show of hands. A show of hands, please. Yu Siwing, Chen Chuchun. Who else? Sid Ho. Who else? Okay, 4 in the line. 4 minutes each. Sin Chukai. Chairman, concerning creating this new post, this is a supernumerary post. That goes back to the same problem. This is a supernumerary post, but you are expanding the size of the civil service in the future. If the RTHK is to be corporatized, will that become an even bigger problem because of having so many civil servants? Deputy Secretary. Now, since 2009, and also in 2000, the drafting of the Charter, and in 2010, the Charter was finalized. After 20 years of discussion, the position of the RTHK has been fixed. The contract staff have been gradually converted into civil service posts, and we've got the agreement of the ESC and also the panel. And we do not see any corporatization down the road. And if there is any change in position, then there are other ways to deal with that. Now, in your paper, the post is to deal with administrative work. And that is the impression that there are more and more AOs who are parachuted into the RTHK. The RTHK is not headed by journalists or media people who are promoted within the RTHK. How do you look at this? Within the RTHK establishment, there is one supernumerary post, which is an AO grade. We said we have no intention to fill the Director of Broadcasting with an AO. That wasn't our intention. In terms of AO, there is only one. In terms of supernumerary post, this is single supernumerary post, who is an AO, but the D of B is also an AO. So the top two are AOs, at least. It seems that it was only many years ago somebody was able to rise from rank and file to become a director of broadcasting. Is there any career path for anybody from the RTHK so that he or she will become director of broadcasting? With regard to the filling of the post of D of B, and that is a system within the civil service. Let me stress once again that we have no intention to regularize to make it permanent for an AO to head the RTHK as a director of broadcasting. Mr. Chen Chuchun. Now, the post was created in 2011. It was filled by an AO. Is it Mr. Gordon Leung, or was it Mr. Gordon Leung, or who else? No, you must give grounds for extension, but the grounds are very strange. You look at paragraph 4. The RTHK so need directorate grade to senior director level to tackle tasks arising, planning and implementation of these new services and projects from the macro perspective, coordinate efforts across different sections within RTHK, work with bureaus and departments and government, as well as making use of strong negotiation skills to work with stakeholders such as free TV operators. Well, I hope that other will work with the stakeholders. Was it something the work being done by Mr. Tai Kin Man Now, say for example, headline is to be news headline is to the program news headline is to be shipped from one very popular TV station to another TV station which has no audience. What sort of negotiation skills or requirements are there? Now, within the RTHK, there are two DD posts. Mr. Tai Kin-man is dealing with programming, all matters relating to programming. Another Ms. Tai is coordinating news service, coordinating with other departments, as in paragraph 4, negotiation skills. I think this is related to the second paper, and that is working with other TV stations in terms of infrastructure. If there is any sharing of infrastructure, what are the conditions and what arrangements are to be agreed? Ms. Tai can explain that if need be. As said by the Deputy Secretary, the supernumerary post is for development, and that includes developing DTT. And in fact, we are going to discuss that. Now, we are going to build new transmission stations. Basically, these are shared with the other two free TV stations. Therefore, the post or the person in charge of that, the person in that post has to negotiate with the stakeholders on, say, the use of transmission stations and various conditions. Programming is headed by Mr. Tai. This post, since it has been established, has been filled by an AO. Is it correct? Yes, you are. Next, Xiu Xiwing. Para 8. They said that the AO will lead the planning and development of the RTHK. This is a rather long-term task. Another director is responsible for programming. If we look at the chart, the organization chart, now there is controller programming. Now there is one director for programs, why the director responsible for, or why the controller responsible for development is responsible for programming as well. Perhaps the administration can explain that, or correct me if I'm wrong. Now, it was asked for an extension of 5 years. The previous proposal was just 3 years. What's the difference? Will the coming 5 years be a continuation of the work of the previous 3 years, or will there be any differences? If there will be, what are the differences? Well, I'll try to answer the first part of the question. Ms. Tai will answer the question. Concerning 3 years and 5 years, the 3 years are for preparatory work, including preparation for the new tendering exercise for BH and the planning for BH. As for DAB and also DTT, the development of new services in these areas are also responsibility of the DD, supernumerary post DD. With the commencement of works of BH, there is a lot of coordination to be done, both internally and externally, in terms of the rolling out of DTT and also DAB, the digital audio broadcasting. There is a need to work with other stakeholders. These are forward-looking rather than backward-looking. Ms. Tai, also a Deputy Director. If you may refer to the organization chart in Annex A, programming, or rather production services, controller production services, they are responsible for the engineering side, the infrastructure side, for DTT and DAB. The production services is under DD broadcasting, DD development. This is as for IT and also artwork and studio and outside broadcasting service. They are supporting. is for programming is by under the other DD. Now concerning preparatory work, they are different from the coming 5 years. The nature of work is very different. The coming 5 years will affect the future development of the RTHK. Shouldn't the work be adjusted a little bit for the future of the RTHK? I think there is overlapping. That's the impression I obtained from this organization chart. Well, that's only the view of Mr. Yeo.
Mr. Ho, whenever I get papers from the RTHK, whenever it is mentioned that they have to fulfill the mission as the public service broadcaster in Hong Kong, I get infuriated. So every time I see this statement, every time I have to criticize against it because it is already the voice of the government. Yes, I agree that there should be a post to be created other than negotiation, which is the sort of expertise of AOs. But then for the acquisition of equipment and then lighting, sound systems, if you turn to paragraph 7, and then later on we are told about the transmission facilities of DTT. I don't think an AO knows much about it. Why don't you get an engineer to do it? Asking a layman to lead the experts will always result in blunders. Take this legislative council building as an example. In the past, we got the ASD experts from us. As we all recall that the louvers were installed in the wrong direction for the chamber of the Legislative Council. Now, if you ask the AOs to take up such a preparatory work, do AOs know them? I'm sorry about that, but I don't think laymen should take over the job. And then for negotiations about contracts, tenders, it is said that they are very complicated. Yes, I agree. I think the director of broadcasting should take up such a task. Civilians should be responsible for such work instead of looking at the programs. Now, the paper is only at the stage of panels. You haven't reached the stage of the ESC or the FC. So would you like to take it back and reconsider it? We're talking about complex works, and we're talking about something very professional. Take TVB and ATV as an example. TVB has always outperformed ATV. This is because the transmission, etc., has been in the hands of an engineer instead of just asking Selina Chow to do it. So if you ask an AO to look at such basic things in broadcasting, I don't think we should waste resources. Now, you can have a post created, but I don't think you should get a general officer. You need an expert. Ms. Ho. Now, currently, we're saying that we need an AO's post. As to why we want an AO instead, of course, AOs and non-AOs have their own fields of expertise. As I have said, in RTHK, they have professional and technical staff to look at the new BH. And then we have a chief engineer with the RTHK. Yes, we have got engineers for the works. But then when it comes to coordination, when we need somebody to deal with such matters from a macro view, and in order to coordinate the work of different divisions of RTHK, in order to coordinate the work between RTHK and other government departments, as well as other free TV operators, I think it's better for an AO to be given the task, and that's why we've made this arrangement. As Mr. Raymond Chan has pointed out in his question, in fact, right from the outset, we have already arranged for an AO to take up the post. It is most inappropriate for a layman to lead the experts. I'm going to object to it if they don't change it. Next, Mr. Zhang Wafeng. Now, for the extension of the supernumerary post for 5 years so as to cope with the future developments. 3 years ago, when the post was created, members already asked why the post should not be made permanent. At the time, the administration said that there was no need for it. Now it has to be extended, and then for as many as 5 years. And then with digital broadcasting, I think the task would only get more and more complicated. Why isn't it going to be made permanent instead of making it supernumerary so that it has to be extended time and again? Ms. Ho. 3 years ago, indeed, when the post was created, there was a question as to whether it should be made permanent. At the time, the explanation forwarded by our colleague was that we had to review the need for the post on a long-term basis. In 2018, that is for the construction of the new bridge as well as the removal, probably by then such matters would have been dealt with. So for me, I think it's about right to have it for 5 years. I think this is similar to what we have encountered in the past. When the duration is about to expire, we have to review whether the post has to be extended or not, and if the post is needed for more time, whether it should be filled by an AO or not. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chung Shi-ken. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is to prepare for the future. Now we are going to spend $6 billion to build a new BH. We have the new television station as well. Does it have our support? Nobody can tell. Now $6 billion. I think the post should be included in the $6 billion package. Now it appears to me that other than the $6 billion asked for, you are now asking for something additional. So in other words, I'm worried that for the new bridge, it will require more than $10 billion. So is it value for money? And then, given the different tasks to be taken up by this officer, shouldn't it be part of the $6 billion package instead of having it separately asked for? Well, this will only last for 5 years and no more. But then that's about the future. I just want to set out the background. I'm not trying to answer the question on their behalf. Ms. Ho, well, for this post holder, it has to take care of the construction of the new BH, relocation, digital audio broadcasting, digital television, as well as other coordination work. A lot of work has to do with the new bridge. For the new bridge, last time we gave a brief explanation about the amount needed. At the PwC meeting, I would like to explain more. So the two are related but not totally the same. Now, for the new bridge, the $6 billion price tag, that's about the appropriate works. Mr. Chung Shi-ken, you still have time left. Well, the Permanent Secretary's explanation cannot convince me. As the chair has said, probably in the past you might need an AO. Now that you want to extend it, but then that's mainly for the new bridge and the relocation. It's more technical in nature. Why don't you include it as part of the $6 billion budget? And you haven't really convinced us why it should be carved out from that budget. It means that it's difficult to tell how much the new bridge would cost. Now, after the panel meeting, it will go to the ESC and then the FC for the $6 billion paper that will no longer come back to us. It will go to the PwC. So they have already scheduled for a meeting of the PwC, so you can reopen the debate again. Ms. N. Jiang. Mr. Chairman, I remember that last time many panel members asked a lot of questions, but many of them were not answered. Today, I want to make it clear that I demand a clear report, a detailed report, so that I know clearly how the $6 billion will be spent. please come back to the supernumerary post. I am coming to the point. Please interrupt me. Shut up. Now you're interrupting me. I forget what I would like to say. Mr. Chairman, I want to have more detailed information. Let me come back to this post. Of course, Chung Shikan was right. This post should have been incorporated into the entire project. And then later on, it may become a permanent post. Let me take a look of your organization chart. Ms. Chang, don't be affected by the noises. Please continue. Don't waste time. Please continue. Don't have dead air. Yes, I'm saying that for the organization chart, I really have to criticize that there is a lot of overlapping. A director is overseeing 2 deputy director of broadcasting. And then the DD of B programs oversees 2 assistant directors. And then under each AD, there is a controller radio and then controller TV. This is called redundancy. I think there's a lot of overlapping. I think you don't find it in the private sector. I don't know, but I just wonder whether the division of labor is wrong. Now, the director of broadcasting appears to be having an easy task because he only has to oversee 2 persons. So 1 director, 2 DD, and then 2 ADs, and then 2 controllers, or 3 controllers in total. So the top layer is bloated. I understand that probably towards the end of the day, members will support you. My single voice of objection can't change the picture, but still I have to point out that I speak on behalf of the public. We are concerned about how public money is being spent, but I have to say that there is a lot of overlapping as far as the organization chart is concerned. Well, for the supplementary information about the beach, we're going to give you the details. We hope that when we issue the PWSC paper, you will get the information. As to the organization chart for the RTHK, I think RTHK has about 600 members of staff for directorate posts. That is, for the ones that you see from the chart, there are 9 of them, including the supernumerary one. Mr. Tai Kin Man and ADD is responsible for programs, TV and radio. For the other DD, which is a supernumerary post, that's about the infrastructure concerning radio and TV. So the division of labor is clear. I have to remind the administration as well as members that just now everybody talked about the new broadcasting house. Mr. Chung Shiken also wrote a letter to us. The administration must explain why the budget has been increased to $6 billion. In relation to Annex 3, to paper 4113, 13-14-05, please elaborate on the information therein. And also for the new BH, it will be commissioned in 2018. After that, what sort of market share will the RTHK take up? And also its impact on the broadcasting landscape. And then Ms. An Jiang, in her antics, said that she would like to know about the further development of the RTHK as a public service broadcaster, and would like to know about the recurrent expenditure of the RTHK as well as the expected one after moving to the new BH. And then we want to know about the data center, whether it's going to be set up at the RTHK broadcasting house or whether it will be set up in the data center of Hong Kong government. Well, these were the questions and comments asked at the last panel meeting when we talked about the BH. So I think the administration is going to give us the information in due course. I just want to remind members of the questions that we've already asked so that we don't need to waste time.
Chairman, I want to know more about the organization chart. In Annex B, a lot of details are provided concerning this supernumerary post that's all related to development, such as the new BH and also new services. The post is for coordination and negotiation. Under Annex A, in Annex A, there is an organization chart. Now there are rectangular boxes, electronic field production and photo services, studio and outside broadcasting services. They are related to regular programming work. I hope that can be clarified. If there is no supernumerary post, how are these functions being headed? Who will head the soldiers after the general is gone? How can these functions be regrouped? Without the DD development, after 5 years, after a review, if we think there is not much need, then most of the work will go back to the permanent DD, will come under the permanent DD. And before the setting up of this supernumerary post, there was such an arrangement. But with a new positioning and a new BH and other services, we have made this proposal with the supernumerary post. As for the other work, maybe Ms. Tai can explain that. That's paragraph 4 of Annex B. This post is for development-related work, but it's also responsible for use of resources. Now, the rectangular boxes are production resources. Say, for example, recording, video editing, art services, so on and so forth are very important. Now, the DD is responsible for resources, and these are resources, and therefore they come under the AO. They come under the supernumerary post. I find it confusing, a bit at least. Say, for example, art services. They are not related with development. Why it comes under the supernumerary DD? Why can't that come under the other side, the DD programs? I find that strange. These few boxes, I find them rather strange. Ms. Tai, Mr. Tai, now concerning coordination. Now this post is responsible for development. Now the new items such as DTT, DAB, and media management and recovery, and also digitalization require a lot of supporting work in terms of production. Say, for example, video and also sound broadcasts are being digitized. We are going from analog into digital, and we need coordination, and therefore that DD is responsible for this aspect of the work. Next, Ms. Emily Lau. I agree with members that this post is related to the new BH. The administration deals with that separately. I've heard that many members want to veto the new BH. The administration is worried about it. In particular, those who are close to the administration, those councillors who are close to administration, vetoes this proposal, then will this post be cancelled as well? As for the BH, well, I have been here for a very long time. We have agreed to it many times, many years ago. The BH, or rather the RTHK, is caught in between. They are criticized by both sides, and yet the RTHK has got a very high popular rating in all kinds of surveys. And if there is no BH, then this post is not needed. Is it the case? I think Ms. Ho has also made a point. Now, there are many things which are technical. Should an AO head all these technical tasks? Two questions, Ms. Ho. Now, concerning the BH, on the 18th of this month, we'll go before the PWSC. As I said, with the support of the panel, we will go to the ESC in respect of this post. And we want to we want to get the permission of the PWSC, and then we can go to the ESC for this post. That is more logical. Whether an AO is more appropriate, in the past 3 years, we've seen that the AO, having an AO has been appropriate. The preparatory work has brought us to the present stage. In the coming 5 years, we still believe that it is suitable for an AO to fill this post. Well, if that one is gone, then this one will not be proposed. I think that's logical. Now, as for this building and the building next door, I've heard that the civil servants are complaining. We are complaining. We are bad, and the civil servants working next door say they are worse. Is it because your building was headed by an AO? And also, has the director been upgraded from D5 to D6? Let me stress, the BH. We want to get the endorsement of PWSC. As for this post, it's not just responsible for the BH, but also other work. We hope the two can be dovetailed. If a different scenario happens, we will have to consider how to adjust to that. As for the post of the Director of Broadcasting, it's a D5 post. Has he been promoted? Mr. Tang has been promoted to D6. And that arrangement of having a D6 working on a D5 post is nothing strange. Well, he has a chance to be promoted and get rich. Well, I don't know whether you've heard the complaints of your colleagues. Your building is even worse than ours. Probably the project was headed by an AO. Now you got an AO to head the BH. You'll be in trouble. Well, I'm not so sure about the relocation of the Tema. As for this BH project, it's not just solely done by an AO. There are other engineers and technical staff doing the work. I believe it will be smoother. Next is Mr. Leung Kok Hong. He is the first one to have the first round. Or rather, he is the last one to have the first round, but I do not allow a second round because we have to hand over the meeting room at 4:30. Mr. Leung Kok Hong. Mr. Chairman, I really don't know how to put it. Well, I don't find the arguments by the civil servants acceptable. But when I remember Mr. Fong, I really don't know what to say. Now, Mr. Fong is in the business. Whether you call him a technical a professional or not. Well, there should be there should be some logic for the government's decision, the administration's decision. Now, we've been criticizing that this supernumerary post is not appropriate, and Feng Weiguang should be criticized. Since I threw eggs, I didn't know the position of the administration. The information coordinator didn't appear. The police said one thing, the CS4A said another thing, and then the CE said another thing. Well, let's therefore wait and see. Why you need this? Why you come to us? Because you want to go to the PWSC for the BH proposal. If the PWSC approves your BH, then you don't need to argue for the creation of this post. At least part of the work has to be done by somebody. As for media asset management, things like that, why don't you wait for that? Are you jumping the gun? Well, you are not. This is not a very serious foul play, at least in comparison with Mr. Fong's appointment. Well, I think the timing is right. Now we come before the panel, and then we'll go to the ESC, and we want to begin when we want to get the final approval in the first quarter. This can tie in with the PWSC's application. Now, when we go before the PWSC, then at least we know we can say that we have somebody waiting. Well, after the 18th, then that will be Christmas, and then afterwards, that's the first quarter of next year. If you can't get through, will you go back? Can you go? Can you go back to the PWC again if you can't get it through? Can you say the PWC will certainly approve your proposal? Well, I hope that the PWC, having read our supplementary information, will endorse our proposal. In fact, the timetable fits. Well, when you sell your product, just mention Mr. Feng Weiguang. Well, I think we have to draw a line here. We have 2 more items, and we only have 1 hour left. The administration plans to go in the first quarter to the ESC and FC for the extension of this AO staff grade B post. As for the Changguan OBH, the 18th of December, the administration will go to the PWSC. The Deputy Secretary has already explained that the timetable, the Permanent Secretary has already explained that the timetable does fit. Let's see the position of this panel. Do we accept in principle the proposal? No. Okay, I'm asking you, okay? I'm asking you. Okay, show of hands, please. Can there be a motion? Can I move a motion? Don't waste time, please. We know that we are just going through the motions. Whether you endorse it or not, they will go to the ESC anyways. And then the ESC will make reference to the view of the panel. If the panel doesn't agree, then should the ESC go against the panel's decision? That's the procedure. Ms. Chang. The Honorable Ms. Chang. Okay.
For those who are in favor of the government's proposal, show of hands, please. Those who are in favor. A show of hands, please. Real names. Leung Kwok Hong seldom agrees when compared with Feng Weiguang, Leung Kwok Hong, Lo Weiguo. So those who are in favor of the post, Lo Weiguo, Regina Yip, Charles Wong, Raymond Chen, Claudia Mo, Sin Chung Kai, Emily Lau. Those who are against, please raise your hands. Keep your hand steady. Mr. James Cho is in support. Those who are against, Yu Si Wing, Anne Zhang, and Zhong Shikan, and Wong Ting Kwong, and Stephen Ho. So all the DAB members are against. Mrs. Ho is also against it. So until it is to be filled by an engineer. So far all DAB members are against it. Sorry, I didn't see your hand. Most sorry about it. Most terribly sorry. I think we vote in the personal capacity as lawmakers. You are wrong, so I have to rectify you. It's not time for you to speak. You haven't got the floor. Next item. What is the result? Well, you didn't actually ask me. 2 abstentions. Ma Fong Kwok and Sid Ho are in abstention. So on this proposal, the panel has vetoed it. 9 are in support, 6 against. We have to put it on record. Mr. Chairman. Yes. Please switch on the mic. Stay calm, please. We are going to put on record the voting result. It will be recorded in the minutes. There's another staff member counting the votes and taking down the names. The following item is still on RTHK, and then we have got an additional guest speaker, Mr. Leung Chi-hwa, Head of Engineering, RTHK. So this is about RTHK, establishment of 22 digital terrestrial television field stations. Ms. Ho, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I briefly touched about it a moment ago. To tie in with the development of RTHK, the RTHK has to develop digital terrestrial television. We are now working on the transmission network, and the RTHK has to construct the hilltop transmission stations as well as the field-in stations. In this month, 7 hilltop sites will be completed, and then the coverage will be 75% of the population. But then this coverage is inadequate to further expand the service of the DTT. Hopefully, it should be 99% comparable to the 2 other free TV operators. So we suggest that 22 field-in stations should be built. It will cost about $3 million each, and then we'll start our work in January to be completed by end of 2018, January 2015. To save time, RTHK is going to set up the transmission facilities at the existing network stations of the 2 TV operators, so as to share space, etc., as well as the transmission antenna. If we have your support, then in the first quarter of 2014, we are going to the FC for the funding approval. Maybe I can ask Mr. Tai, Ms. Tai, the DD, to brief you on the details. Ms. Tai. Well, basically, we are sharing the facilities with the 2 commercial TV stations. Now, first of all, we need to have our machines, our transmission equipment. Well, we'll just see whether there is still space that can be let to us. As far as the hilltop sites are concerned, we've also got common facilities like electricity supply as well as the transmission antennae. In other words, the proposal means that as of today, we should have completed 7 hilltop sites. The current proposal before you is that after the 7 hilltop sites, we can only reach 75% of the population. Another 25% will still be outstanding. Therefore, we need the fill-in stations to expand the coverage. And we want to build 22 fill-in stations. And for all of them, we are going to share the existing facilities with the 2 TV operators. It will cost $64 million. We are all talking about the hardware. Say, for example, $46 million for the procurement and installation of transmission equipment, like transmitters, on-channel transposers, etc. And then for individual hilltop sites, if there's no space left to allow us to house our transmitter, then we need to build certain facilities next to theirs, and then $11 million will be spent for that purpose. That's the equipment cubicles. So just the details for the amount of money needed and how they are split. Claudia Mo, Zheng Shukan, Wang Tenkwang, Xin Chong Kai, Charles Mock, Sid Ho. Who else would like to speak? All right. 3 minutes each. Claudia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just now, we talked about the post of the DD. Roy Tang is the head. He's the director of broadcasting. He's the layman leading a team of experts. Now 5 years concerning the new BH, etc. I think it's a matter of jumping the queue. Now for this one, it is all the more related to the new programs, the new works. Again, it is jumping the queue. So if it so happens that the $6 million is not to be approved, then it seems odd to spend so much effort on having this proposal before us. You need to answer this question. There's no assurance that you'll get your new money. And then we want RTHK as a public service broadcaster. Now, RTHK is a government department, it's the voice of the government. As a government broadcaster, there's no way that you can discard such an image. So the RTHK cannot please either camp. On the one side, they accuse you of tolerating radical views. On the other side, we would say that you are the voice of the government. I need to ask Tai Kin-man to tell exactly what position the RTHK takes. For a PSB, you need to be independent of the government. In 2009, the administration has said that RTHK should also take up the role as a public service broadcaster. Mr. Tai Kin-man, you have been named a number of times to answer the question, so please answer Ms. Mo's question. In relation to the role of the PSB, this is the mission of the RTHK. One other mission is to reflect the voice of the public at large, and we are also to have public broadcasting to supplement what is inadequate from the private operators. Now, for RTHK, in relation to digital terrestrial television service, we have already started the trial service. In 2010, we already started the trial the signals. We have already got 7 hilltop sites covering 75% of the population. So for the current broadcasting house at Broadcasting Drive, we are carrying out the pilot scheme in a very limited space. We would like to enhance the trial scheme next year. Therefore, the fill-in stations have to be increased. I want to ask further questions, so we don't have time. Mr. Ma Fengguang. Well, it is mentioned that they have to share the transmission facilities with ATV and TVB. So I want to know about the relationship. because just now Mr. Tai, the DD, seems to imply that they had to pay a fee or they had to negotiate with TVB and ATV. Would there be a lot of uncertainties? So please tell us whether they have a statutory duty to share the facilities with RTHK. Well, we're talking about viewing stations, supplementary in nature. Ms. Tai. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Ma. We're here talking about the transmission network of the DTT. When the two operators run their DTT, and in fact in accordance with the then Broadcasting Authority's regulatory framework, the two commercial TV operators must share the transmission facilities with other DTT operators. So when we want to develop our own DTT service, we negotiate with them as to how facilities are to be shared. And in fact, within the framework, it means that we have to hire the space from them and we have to get the electricity supply. So according to the arrangements, we need to give the two TV operators a fee. And for each hilltop site, we have to negotiate with the two TV operators as to the arrangements as well as the level of the fees. Well, the framework stipulates that the facilities have to be shared. And in fact, the Broadcasting Authority has already got certain guidelines as to how the fees should be charged. And there are two parts to it. First of all, when we want to rent space from them to house our equipment and to get power supply and to share the transmission antennae, well, in fact, there is already a guideline to say that we have to look at the investment, the expected duration, etc. So there is already a formula under the guidelines to calculate the amount of fees, and then the fee would also cover the recurrent operation costs as well as the recurrent maintenance costs. Again, they are subject to certain guidelines, say for example, certain guidelines covering power supply. So in our negotiations, we do operate within the guidelines. Well, for the existing facilities, I want to know whether they have got spare spectrum to transmit your signals, or must we have our own transmitters for RTHK specifically? I think your time is up. Mr. Tai, can you give a brief reply? Well, ATV and TVB are using another bandwidth, so they can't share it with us. For the RTHK's bandwidth, it is different from those of ATV and TVB. Well, before Mr. Chung Chi-kan speaks, I want to say that they have put in something. Is it emotion or what? The ITBP proposes that for the establishment of the 22 fill-in stations for DTT service of RTHK, this should only be discussed after the FC has endorsed the broadcasting house budget. Moved by An Zhang and Zhong Shugan. We're limited by time available. Give you 1 minute to explain why. Well, I think we can add a few words here. That is, after funding approval for construction of the new BH. That is, after we've given approval, then we talk about the fill-in stations. Well, now we are in the course of discussion. If you say that we have to await the ESC and the FC approvals, then it will be odd. Well, I'm moving a motion. I'm not saying that we won't approve it, but we're saying that we should get the approval concerning the beach first. Last time we asked for information, but haven't been told when it will be available. Now they're starting to recruit more people and get the filling stations. Is it in the right sequence? I think you need to get the approval for the building first. Now you've just tabled the motion, but then the wording is unclear. Please revise it for me. Yes, have it revised, and then as to whether it will be dealt with, we'll decide on it later on. Mr. Chung Chi-kan, I agree with another member. Now, this is also for the purpose of the new beach. You may say that it is peripheral or it is essential, but still we're talking about facilities concerning the new beach, but then it's not being made part of the $6 billion package. From time to time, they will extract something from the $6 billion package and ask for approval. We will be pressed to give approval to the $6 billion budget because we'll be told that we have already given approval to other items. So it's like having fait accompli, forcing us to give approval to the $6 billion budget. So our motion is to have all the items discussed in one go and also tell us what the $6 billion price tag doesn't include. But then this is not the arrangement. Now you would like to get the peripherals being sort of approved first, and then eventually will be forced to give approval to the larger chunk, and otherwise will be accused of wasting the money.
I'd like to remind you all that there are two items related to the RTHK, and they are not necessarily related to the Cheungguan-O BH. If you look at the information, we have discussed it N times ago. And this is just to get your agreement. When you discuss developing DTT, that has already been agreed. Well, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. I just tell you the background. They are related. If there is no new BH, if there is no new TV station, then you don't need that. You've already approved 2 new TV stations. Why don't you ask them to give you some channels so that you can broadcast what you want to broadcast? You can include that in the licensing conditions. Why didn't you do that? Now you killed Ricky Wong, and now you built a new TV station. And your opposition party, you criticize for the government for not issuing a license. Now you collude with the government. You give the license to RTHK. Now okay, time is up. Time is up. There is no time for the administration to reply. Next, Wang Ting-Kwong.
嗱，就而家兩個電台有7個發射站。
There are 7 transmission stations. The transmission stations are built on land approved by the administration. The buildings were built by the TV stations. So when you hire their facilities, you have to pay rent to them. The rent includes fees and also power, so on and so forth. But the land is public land. It belongs to the government. The government allowed them to make use of the sites. Now they are going to renew their license. Now in license renewal, can you discuss with them the rent? And we are going to pay some tens of millions of dollars one-off, and then we also need to pay a rental, which is on a daily basis. I don't know how much the administration charged them when the sites were given. Will waiving the rent be one of the conditions? At the beginning, before the 2 TV stations were allowed to build these transmission stations, well, I'm not talking about the past, I'm talking about the future. They are using the existing license upon the old conditions. Will you add new conditions and the license? You can negotiate that. Mr. Wong, on renewal of license, a lot of things can be discussed with the two institutions. Members also asked about other things to be included in the new licensing discussion. As for the money, they are recurring costs, just like power tariff. We should share that. Of course, that's simple. That's simple. You can get a separate meter, and you can have an independent account with the CLP. Don't treat me like a child. Well, electric tariff shouldn't be included. You should talk to the two radio stations. So I'm just saving public money for the citizens.
主席，頭先鐘議員呢就話民主派保皇。
Mr. Song Chong said that the Democrats want to be loyalists and collude with the government. I hope that can be successful. I'm asking for universal suffrage. Now we have to have 3 TV licenses, and then there is the RTHK TV, and then everybody will be happy. There will be free competition. Now they don't need the RTHK doesn't need a license. It is government station. They don't need a license. We cannot assume that the two TV stations will continue to get the licenses, and the government will continue to allow them to have the spectrum. Now, I want to ask the Permanent Secretary, if a certain TV station is not able to get a free TV license, then we will pay $60 million, and we also pay rent. What will happen next if one company doesn't get a free TV license? Now the time frame is that by 2015 there will be a decision on the TV licenses renewal. We are discussing that, and all licenses will last until 2015. As for the transmission stations, they will be completed by 2018. So in the interim, or rather, we'll be able to see the outcome of the renewal of the licenses. When we discuss the contract, we will continue to keep an eye on the license negotiation, and concerning the details, we can say that should anything happen, we can still make use of the infrastructure that have been or will be built. Say suppose a certain station, TV company, is not able to get a license, and then the company just fold up and then destroy its facilities, and what will be the outcome? The Deputy Secretary. Let me speak on license renewal. The renewal process has already started. We don't know whether the licenses will be renewed. We have to go through the Communications Authority and then see in Council. As for the things on the hilltops, the things were built by them, but the land belongs to the government. If we are to make use of the facilities, we can do several things to enable the RTHK to make use of the facilities no matter what happens. The basic thing is a contract, and through negotiation, contract conditions will be incorporated so that we can continue to make use of the facilities on the hilltops. Now, if there is no renewal of a license, then concerning the facilities, we can invoke the law if need be to make use of public money to buy the facilities. But that has to depend on the renewal of license. Suppose everything goes normally, then through the agreement between the RTHK and the two commercial TV companies, agreements can be reached. Mr. Charles Mock. Now, the RTHK going into DTT is nothing new. It has been agreed. It is a policy. As for DTT, it is by making use of the spectrum. And the two companies that were recently given a license made use of digital networks. The two are different. Please do not confuse it. Now, concerning the transmission stations and the machines, it is very clear. You can calculate how many transmission stations, how much money. It's very clear. Concerning the $6.1 billion, when you come back, you can provide a breakdown in detail instead of giving us a lump sum. The thing I intended to ask was in respect of, say, not issuing a license to TVB or ATV, what would that be dealt with? How could one deal with that? You've already answered that. Now, only by the end of 2014, the Communications Bureau, or rather Communications Authority, would provide a report to CN Council, and then the CN Council might take a long time before making a decision, but though not 1,000 days. I want to ask the administration. Now, before the deadline, 1 year before the deadline, does the law require that the CN Council has to make a decision? Is there a deadline for this decision by CN Council? I want to ask Mr. Tai Kin Man. Now, after you've invested so much, you should have as many local productions as possible. And there are local companies who have done a lot of animation, but the commercial TV stations refuse to air their programs. I really hope that you can make use of more local productions. Now, let me answer part of the questions. According to the law, as for the renewal of the license, if a licensee wants to renew the license, then the application for renewal has to be made 2 years before the expiry. The two companies already filed their applications. The Communications Authority will have to make its recommendation to the CN Council at least 1 year before the expiry of the license. That's the time frame. But what about the CN Council? Is there a deadline for them to make a decision? Time is up. Ms. Ho. Thank you, Chairman. Well, I do not oppose to the decision. The construction of the transmission stations will have to be made even if there is no new BH. They will, if no BH, new BH, they will just remain in the dingy broadcasting house in Broadcast Drive. Now we have Mr. Leung and also Ms. Tai, the DD. It shows that for technical matters, Ms. Tai dare not be on her own. Now, concerning the creation of posts, you should allow an engineer to fill the posts. If the DAB feels that there are too many people, too many hands in the RTHK, just dismiss the director of broadcasting. This is a point, an opinion. No need to reply. We have to deal with Ms. Chang's. You are a member of the panel. You are a member of the panel. I respect you. I can call you a member of the panel, and I can also call you a district councillor. As the chairman of the panel, I can call you a member.
For Ms. Chang's motion, I think there are not lots of problems with the wording, so I have to revise it twice. Otherwise, it won't be in line with our rules of procedure. This panel is of the view that in relation to the establishment of 22 fill-in stations, this should be taken up after the FC gives approval to the request for funding for the construction of the broadcasting house. Now, today we talk about these fill-in stations. But I think your wording, as in its original form, has got nothing to do with our current issue. I've amended it. In relation to the establishment of 22 fill-in stations, the panel is of the view that the PWC as well as the FC have given approval to the funding request for the construction of the new BH, then this item can be discussed. Yes, do you agree? Yes, you are excellent. Members, do you agree to handle the motion? Submit again, just about the filling stations. What's the point? Sit Ho, you have amended the text, but then we should be given a copy because there are dozens of words. We have only got 25 minutes, and yet we have to deal with the third item. Let's make copies of that wording. Deputy Chair, thank you. Well, we have a little bit of time left. May I ask this question? Many members have said that the RTHK is a public broadcaster, different from the commercial operators. But then the administration has said that the market cannot cope with that many TV operators. Now it seems that the government has changed its position. When we were told about the RTHK's new development, we didn't have the latest information. So have to look into this. That is, by allowing RTHK to run DTTS, will it have an impact on the current TV market? And to what extent? Susie Ho. Well, the RTHK has the role of the public service broadcaster, so quite different from the commercial operators. So as far as the policy is concerned, for the RTHK's service and also the market, I don't think they are the same as the commercial operators. So there's no direct competition. They are more educational, and they will serve the minority audience. And as Ms. Charles Mock has said, probably the RTHK will be delivering service not taken up by the commercial operators. So RTHK will not be regarded as a competitor. Claudia Mo, I want to clarify a point. Publicly run or public are different. I'm confused by the wording of the motion. We have to. What about the discussion just going on? We have a discussion again? It doesn't matter. After the discussion, we have to check with you whether you have approval in principle. The same like the first discussion item. The matter was put to the vote. We can always have a discussion again so far as you agree to it. So long as you agree to it. Now for the wording, you have to make sure that you don't clash with our agenda. I think I've amended in such a way that she had this intention. We still have to put it to the vote. We're making copies I have to read it out. This panel urges the administration in relation to establishment of 22 fill-in stations for DTTS. This matter should be after the FC and the PTFC have approved the funding request for the construction of the new BH. Be taken up by us at that time. Do you agree that we should deal with the motion? Yes, all right. Please vote on it. Those who are in favor of Ms. Zhang's motion, hands up, please. Liu Xiwing, Anne Zhang, Zhong Shuken, and Ng Leung Sing, Regina Yip, Elizabeth Quat. Those who are against, please raise your hands. Emily Lau, Sid Ho, Charles Mok, Claudia Mo, and Dr. Lo Wai Guok. What about Stephen Ho? You do know what is going on? Yes. Do you support? I support. You support Ms. Zhang. All right. Please add Mr. Ho's name. 7 against 5. 7 in support, 5 against. So it should be returned for further discussion later on. Next item. All right. Please invite the officials to come. The permanent secretary will stay, and then we are going to have Mr. Daniel Lai, Government Chief Information Officer, and then Ms. Joey Lam, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer, and Mr. Damian Lee, Assistant Government Chief Information Officer. So this item is about the 2014 Digital 21 Strategy. We have to return the venue to the education panel at 4:30, so we can skip the briefing part. And perhaps the Government Chief Information Officer can say a few words. We can skip the PowerPoint presentation. We've all got a hard copy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, this is the strategy for the entire government and not just confined to the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau. Well, during the public consultation duration, we have often been asked how we compare with other places when it comes to ICT. I won't go into the details. In fact, we have been faring very well. 3 weeks ago, we had the ICT Alliance, and then among the 17 items, we were able to get 4 awards and then 12 merits. And then for Tell Me 1823, again it was given a very given a major award, and we have got world-class infrastructure. We have big data, cloud computing, wireless and multi-platforms, and together with the industry, we have carried out a lot of consultation. We have had 19 workshops with over 200 participants. So we were able to come up with a new strategy, and we call it Smarter Hong Kong, Smarter Living. Under this, we have got 4 major areas and 17 action plans. I can go into them briefly. I don't think you've got time. It's all clearly set out in your PPP. I now give the floor to members. Zhong Shuken, Liu Xiwing, Charles Mok, Elizabeth Quat. Who else? Yes. I raised my hand early. Sorry, Mrs. Yip. Should you be given the floor first? Are you happy with that? Lo Wai Guok, Claudia Mo. Who else? Let me have a head count. Lo Wai Guok. Let me read out. Regina Yip, Zhong Shuken, Liu Xiwing, Charles Mok, Elizabeth Quat, Lo Wai Guok, Claudia Mo. 2 minutes each. Mrs. Regina Yip. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. the administration has said that we would like to expand the Wi-Fi network. It is good because many people said that the reception isn't that good. And then provision of Wi-Fi to schools to enable e-learning. Well, in fact, many parents are worried. They're worried that children would only be engaged in playing games, then become attentive in class. Even officials have been found to do so. How can you manage the classroom if you allow this to happen? And then, as everybody knows, that it is important to focus on cloud computing. So how are you going to make sure that we take a greater part? Infrastructure, we need to expand, and tell us the area that we need to focus on, and what about the applications? Mr. Lai, we can use filters to control and manage the use of Wi-Fi in classrooms. And then we have to start with education. So the students will be trained from a young age as to how they should abide by the online rules. And this has to be taken in parallel as well. Cloud computing. Yes, for cloud computing, in the past year or so, in many areas, we have carried out a lot of work. Say, for example, we became the pace setter in that we have been a user. Together with the industry and academia, we have got an expert committee on cloud computing. We are developing the use of cloud computing, in particular in the areas of security. And we also develop guidelines and rules. So we have Info Cloud. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chung Shi Ken. It was first mooted in the year 2000, but then for the past decade, Digital 21 has not been successful. We are just talking about digital certificate and whatnot. We spent billions of dollars, and yet I don't think we have achieved much. Now, the title of your strategy is Smart Hong Kong, Smart Living. It is simply a vision, but not a mission. So you don't have targets, you don't have objectives. So I just cannot see from your paper how you're going to achieve your target. In Chapter 2, talk about cloud computing, big data, Internet of Things, etc. They are just tools. To be blunt, I want to say that you are just making the purchase after this has been approved. So it is merely an order form. Where are you taking Hong Kong? For the past 10 years, for the past 5 years, I want to know how technology has been applied. And do we have any concessionary policies in terms of tax support and land? No, we have nothing of that sort. On the mainland, they have got a lot of matching funds for, say, animation. Now, in Hong Kong, for SMEs and for other enterprises in the ICT industry, I want to know what assistance have been provided. Not at all. You are just citing empty words in your slogans. In 5 years, 10 years down the road, you don't have any indicators or to measure your performance. So are we all telling lies? As the government, don't you agree that you should tell us how we are going to achieve the goals? Your time is up. Next, Mr. Yu Siwing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I read the paper, and it is said that $15 million are being set aside for 9 companies to provide internet security. But then, for a number of years, we have been told that the police have suffered from leaks of information. So I want to know whether such companies have been punished. Otherwise, they are not held responsible. It is not fair to the taxpayers. So that's my first question. Second question is about the issue of Wi-Fi. Now, the government would like to have full coverage Now, for government buildings, most of them or a lot of them don't get Wi-Fi. So I want to know when we are going to full coverage of Wi-Fi service when it comes to government buildings.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Now, concerning getting the system security companies to look at our securities on risk management, that is to assess our system, see if there are any loopholes. Now, as the leakage of information was the result of human failure, there are clear guidelines internally to ensure computer security and information security. As for the human failures, they were not related to the risk assessment by the contractors. As for the second question, whether all government buildings will be provided with Wi-Fi service, definitely not. We have to look at cost effectiveness. In fact, 440 government there are 440 government buildings which have been equipped with Wi-Fi for the public, which is accessible to the public. We are adding 30 more. Mr. Mok Nai Kwong. Mr. Charles Mok, I will not speak on the details. I've already given my written submission, but we are concerned that there is no direct assistance given to the market and market participants. And there is also the issue of network security. More attention should be given to that. I want to ask a higher level question. In order to implement the content of the paper, you need the high level coordination within government departments. Then it will be on the level of the FS and CS. They have to take the lead. Is it possible to escalate it to such a high level? And how can you have the support of the administration in implementing the strategy after your consultation? After the consultation, we will work towards several directions. And we need new resources. We will discuss the matter among various government bureaus, and if need be, we can go to the FS to get a committee to implement that. So you are going to set up a committee. In fact, within the current mechanism, there is a technology committee to head by the FS. And if we need to work through this mechanism, the mechanism is there. I hope that there can be more transparency so that we know what transpired, what has transpired in that committee, and what will be promoted or implemented. And then the stakeholders can respond. Otherwise, people will say the government is doing nothing. Yes, I will report to this panel. The Vice Chairman, Ms. Quat. Now, this is Digital 21 strategy. Well, they are just stating the obvious. Now, you say attracting talents to participate in this. Well, it applies to every industry. I have not seen any strategy in your paper. It's called a strategy paper, but I have not seen any strategy. And that's the biggest problem of this paper. I will not go into details. Now, concerning Wi-Fi, Mr. Ricky Wong, on the 25th of November, in a newspaper article, he said that a few years ago he wanted to set up 10,000 Wi-Fi hotspots, but the administration didn't cooperate. And he worked through different formal channels. He built 500 posts in Central and Tsim Sha Tsui for the provision Wi-Fi, but the administration also caused that to fail. Is it true? If that is the case, then people should have got free Wi-Fi nowadays. There is no need to work through the Digital 21 strategy. What has happened indeed, and what is the administration's plan in this regard? The GCIO. In the past few months, I think Ms. Quat was also involved, and then in fact we talked to NGOs and also suppliers, and we have been discussing a cooperative arrangement. We provide government Wi-Fi. We also make use of the business sector resources in respect of providing Wi-Fi facilities to members of the public, but there would be a time limit on using Wi-Fi. Mr. Lo Wai-kwok. Now, in the consultation process, I've heard the complaints of the trade, those in the IT, those developing hardware, software, criticize the administration with regard to its procurement policy. The administration is very conservative. The administration look at the past records of the product. But if you talk about IT, you have to consider innovation. If Hong Kong has to move to a smarter Hong Kong, smarter living, we should develop our own IT products. In terms of procurement policy, will there be any adjustment to encourage local innovation? The GCIO. With regard to procurement, whether it is IT product or not, we comply with the WTO requirements. We are fair and open and just. And concerning procurement of IT service, most of the services are provided locally. In terms of products, it's a pity that high-end computer products, such as computer servers and storage machines, we don't have such products available locally. As for procurement service, local companies account for the majority of the service providers. Chairman, this is the answer which I have expected, and he hides behind the WTO. But we should take this opportunity to reflect the real situation, and I want to put it on record. Ms. Claudia Mo. Yes, I am following the same issue. Concerning the importation of talent scheme, there are many mainlanders who are IT talents who came to Hong Kong. In terms of lack of talent, do you have any training program apart from this blueprint? Before we have this paper, we have adopted a multi-pronged approach. We work with the students. Yesterday, there was an ICT project. We promote IT among secondary school students, and we enhance their interest and awareness in the universities. We work with the various faculties, IT-related faculties, and we promote ICT. And recently, with a TV series which has been launched, and starting from 13th of January. Chairman, I don't want a catalogue of things that have been done. I have no doubt about your sincerity. Now, you've done a lot, but you need time to cultivate talents, and that is not just done yesterday. Why we need to import so many IT talents? Well, just about 200 per year from the mainland. Relatively speaking, it is quite a big number. I have the figures. Now, as for those IT students graduated, 6,800 from our universities or tertiary education institutions. Thank you, the GCIO. We have to hand over the room to the education panel. Well, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.